Hello and welcome everyone to this session on how to use a capo and a little bit of ear training, how to know what key a song is in so you know where to put your capo if you're playing along with the song. First of all, what is a capo if you don't know? A capo is, one of my young students calls it a fret clamper, which is pretty smart because that's exactly what it is. It's a little clamp for your frets, for your strings, and you clamp it on. So fret clamper is a more descriptive word. Actually, we should all start calling them fret clampers. So it's a capo. And one thing about a capo is you might, I don't know if you've ever come across this, somebody kind of saying, oh, you don't need to use one of them. Some guitarists wrongly have a wrong impression of them, that that they're only for like making things easier, and they kind of look down on them. That's what I'm trying to say. But if you ever meet anybody like that, just ask them if they ever heard of Paco de Lucia. If they're like, no, then you go, well, he was one of the best guitarists who ever lived, and he used one sometimes. So it's really, in flamenco music, very advanced guitar music, it could just be used because you like the sound of a capo on a certain fret to change the key of the guitar. So that's what it is. It's like a little tool that you can use to change the key of the guitar. That's why you use it. And another thing, there's quite advanced capos. Connor, our other teacher, he has a couple where they only clamp one clamps 5 strings out of 6 and one clamps 3 of the strings, which is pretty cool. You can do some really interesting stuff with those advanced capos. Today we're just going to talk about the usual standard one that clamps across all 6 strings. So the very first thing, if you have your capo, we'll just do this very simple exercise. Okay, we're going to play a C chord, just a normal C chord with no capo. And we'll try and, if you can hum or sing along a little tune. We'll do Frere Jacques just for demonstration purposes, because it's out of copyright and the video won't get taken down. So this is going to show you the basic, what a capo is for. If you strum a C chord and sing Frere Jacques, by the way, Frere Jacques is only one chord. That's why I picked that song as well, because it's no chord changes. You just go Frere Jacques, da, da, da. We'll just do a few bars of it. If you put the capo on the first fret of your guitar, clamp it on. Oops. Now that chord has become C sharp. Okay, so with no capo, if you play a C chord, it's a C chord. But if you put the capo on the first fret, it's 1 fret higher now. So you're singing higher, a little bit higher. Okay? If you then put the capo on the second fret, you've changed the chord to D now. And so on and so on. As you go up the neck, the chord is getting 1 fret higher each time you put the capo 1 fret higher. Okay, we'll keep on doing it. We'll try a few different keys like this. But this is the purpose of the capo, is mainly it's to suit your singing voice, because you might want to play in a certain key that's you're not used to, and you can do it easily with the capo. That is probably the most common use of a capo. There's other ones though. But does everybody, one little point I want to explain here is that if you put the capo on the second fret, then it's fine for you to say, okay, I'm going to play the chord of C. But you're not really playing the chord C, you're playing the chord D if the capo is on the second fret. But for you and other guitarists, it's okay to understand this as a C chord because it looks like a C chord. It's the shape of a C chord, but the sound, if I switch it and take it off, the sound is the sound of the D chord. Capo on C shape, open chord D shape, it's the same. Why? Because if we take the C chord and move it up first fret, it becomes C sharp, and then second fret, it becomes D as we move up the notes of the musical scale. So I better pause there and just ask everyone if I lost anyone already. If anyone does not know what I'm talking about, C sharp, D, I will explain that. Does anybody? Yeah, okay, good. Brian, so go ahead.
What's the difference between a chord and a key?
That's a great question. So keys are groups of chords. In each key, there are 7 chords, actually. So when we talk about the key of C, we're talking about 7 chords, and they're unique. That group of chords is unique to the key of C. And very often, but not all of the time, it is the first chord in a song. So the first chord you play in the song is usually the same as the key that song is in. So if you start on a D chord, you're playing in the key of D. For today's session, we'll work with songs that are like that, which are the most common songs. So going back to the notes of the musical scale, C sharp, D. Margaret, no, you've got your sheet with the notes written on it, so you could use that to see as you move up. You can see you're moving up to the next note, and then the next note, and then the next note. Does anybody else not know or has never heard of the notes of the musical scale moving up? C sharp, D sharp. They move up the alphabet, but there's one in between each note. So C to D has a note in between, which is C sharp. So anybody questions? Any questions there at that point? No. Okay, let's assume everybody's okay with that. We'll keep on moving up. So if we put the capo on the 3rd fret now, see how that sounds when you're singing. You can feel it's getting higher now in a way that you can't really feel when you're playing your guitar. When you're playing your guitar, it's all pretty much the same. You're just moving higher up the neck. The frets are getting smaller, but it's not harder. But as you're singing, it feels really different in each key. As it gets higher, you can feel your voice is getting higher. And one of the really good things to do, one of the things to get out of this is to find what key your voice feels comfortable in. There will be not just one, but there'll be a range of keys where you're comfortable singing. And usually you won't be equally comfortable in all keys. Even very trained singers aren't. They have few keys they prefer. I know a lot of singers, some singers prefer to sing in A, key of A, and if you're a male voice, maybe E flat, or up to G. It's different for male and female voices as well. So we're on the 3rd fret, capo on the 3rd fret, and you try and sing. What chord are we playing now? We're playing a C shape, but anybody know? Shout it out. What chord is that sounding like?
D.
D was when we were on the 2nd fret, it was a D, and now we're on the 3rd fret. So one after, say again?
D sharp.
D sharp. It's D sharp. Yeah, D sharp or E flat. It's another name for D sharp. You can go up and call it a sharp, or you can go down and call it a flat. That's what the name is. So now, just to really make sure this point is clear, you don't have to call that D sharp if you're just playing on your own. But it is important if you're playing with someone else, like a piano player or any other instrument player. You're not going to be able to tell them, I'm playing a C chord. They won't be able to play with you. They'll sound wrong. you need to be able to say what the chord actually sounds like, which is D sharp or E flat. And likewise, if you're trying to read a chart or play along with something, like a song on YouTube, for example, you need to know actually if it's in the key of A, then you need to know you're playing an A. Not just an A shape, but an actual A. Let's continue. 4th fret. We're playing a C chord. It's getting a bit high now. What chord is that? Anyone? Shout it out. Unmute yourself if you know the chord.
E.
Yes, it's E. It's a funny way to play an E, but that is an E. Let's go one more fret up. 5th fret. What chord would it be now?
F.
Yes, F. Not E sharp, because there is no E sharp. After E, go straight to F. Okay, now we're playing an F chord. At this point, your voice has gone up so high that maybe it can jump down an octave, which is the other really important point here. The capo can only make the chords go higher, but you might want to bring your voice down, which means you have to find a key where you can drop your voice down an octave. So if I was singing up here, that would be getting a bit high for me. I wouldn't like to be singing up there. So it's a bit low though, if I go down an octave. But I could do it. It's more comfortable down there. Still a bit low though, so I might keep going up another one. Now we're on F sharp. Capo on the 6th fret. We're getting pretty high now. Probably won't go past the 7th fret. Just because the frets get so small. There we have F sharp. Now for the male voice, once it drops down there, that's probably getting comfortable for most male voices at the lower end. Much lower than that, it's very bassy. I wouldn't sing much lower than that, but it's easy to sing there. It's much easier. Let's go one more fret. Let's go to the 7th fret now. What chord are we on now? Anybody?
G?
Yeah, it's G. Yeah, that's the way I like to sing Frere Jacques normally. Okay, good. So now we could expand it to other songs with other chords, but the great thing about the capo is as long as you know how to play the song, then you can change it into all the other keys doing exactly the same chord shapes. As you go up, you do the same chord shapes, the key is getting higher. Same chord shapes, key is getting higher. All the way up. I would say you have these 7 options really. You wouldn't go much higher than the 7th fret. You can try if you want. It's just, it starts getting a little bit tight up there. The frets are so small. But, you know, including with no capo, that's 8 different keys. That's most keys. There's 4 that you can't do with the capo, but that's okay. You got plenty of options there to work with your voice going up and reaching a point where you can drop down an octave. Any questions at that point? Is everyone kind of following me along there? Or did anyone get totally lost and wasn't sure what was going on? Yeah, good. Okay. Okay, looks good, looks good. So you could do this with any chord. It doesn't have to be the C chord. You could do it with the G chord. And then you put the capo on the 1st fret. Now your G chord is, oops. You're always, as you put the capo on, you're always then resetting the 1st fret. So now this is the first fret. First, second, third. So G is on the third fret. And so on and so on. You can go right up to the 7th fret. Let's see who could figure out if the capo's on the 7th fret. Let's put the capo on the 7th fret and play a G chord. What is that chord? Anyone? Capo on the 7th fret, play a G chord. Someone knows.
D.
It's a D. Hooray. Of course, there's a maybe faster way to work it out is your middle finger is holding the note D. If you know your notes on the 6th string, that's a D. So that chord is actually a D. So if you don't know your note names yet, how come? Because we didn't teach them to you yet, or you didn't learn them. But you'll be definitely learning your note names in class, because we do that every now and then. And that's just a useful, fast way to work things out. D, that's the note D, therefore that's a G chord. If I didn't have the capo on, it would be a weird chord. It wouldn't be a D chord, because those open strings are still ringing out open, and that's what the capo is doing. It is making sure that they all... It actually sounds really nice up there, a G so high up the neck. It kind of makes the guitar take on a different character when you're playing up so high. And you could sing more comfortably, maybe. You can figure out the key that suits your voice. So let me ask you at this point, does everybody think that you doing that technique, even just with Frere Jacques, would you be able to work out what key suits your voice better? Try and do it now. I'm going to come around. I'm going to pause the recording at this point, actually. Okay, so we all figured out basically what kind of keys we were able to sing most easily in. And now the next thing is, can we work out what key a song is in? If we want to play along with a song, then sometimes we're learning a song and we learn the chords, but then we listen to the original version and it doesn't match. It's not the same. We have to work out, I need a capo, I need to put a capo on, and then I'm going to be able to play in that same key as the song. And there's 3 examples of songs that are like that, where we're learning the chords in a different key from the original version. Those are 3 songs: Something by the Beatles, Ride On by Christy Moore, and Country Roads by John Denver. So these are good songs to try to figure out what key they're in. I wonder if yeah, I won't be able to record the spit actually, because you have to try and, if you're watching the video, try and do it on your own on YouTube. I can't put the videos in because video will get taken down. So I'll pause it again, the recording. Okay, so we figured out that the Beatles play something, the song something in C, in the key of C, because we figured out the first bass note was a C, and we figured out that we could move our G chord up to the capo on the 5th fret, and that makes the chord become a C chord when we play it. Something in the way she moves. Na, 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 na. Won't sing the whole song. Take my video down. So Sinead asked, do bass players ever play chords? Yes, they do, but it's very rare. Bass players, like Flea does in the Chili Peppers, very occasionally. It's very rare for bass players to play chords. There's kind of a good reason for that, is that like the bass notes are so low that when you put them together, it's quite muddy down there. So when they play chords, they usually do it really high up on the bass, and just small little chords like. So yes, very rarely they do though, sometimes. And are bar chords the same as using capos? Yes, bar chords are when you use your finger to do a bar. So it's like mostly like putting the capo on and then doing an E shape, which is an E-based bar chord. Or if you do an A shape, then that's an A-based bar chord. So those are the two most common kinds of bar chords. And it is exactly the same as putting a capo on and then playing it. Oops, didn't put the capo on. So if you put the capo on the 5th fret and play an E, A, that's pretty much the same as doing a bar chord like that. What would the chords actually be? Well, E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A. It's actually an A because that's an A. And if you do an A shape, then it'd be like A sharp, B, C, C sharp, D. That's actually a D. Some people play it like that.
Can I just ask, Daniel, though, when like using the capo gives you more freedom if you're changing the key, because you can do a wider range of chords. If you're doing bar chords, you're kind of limited to those E and A shapes, aren't you? So
true, yes. So is your question, why do bar chords? Why not just use a capo?
yeah. Or what makes a capo better or different, or what are the differences between bar chords and capos, I guess?
Well, you're more restricted with a capo because the capo stays on the same fret all the time. So capo is pretty much shortening your neck to a point. So you wouldn't be able to play any lower than the capo, which is a consideration. Bar chords are very flexible. You just move the capo all the time. There are actually kinds of capos that you can move quickly, but not as easily as just moving your fingers up and down.
The bar chords are painful they're painful on the acoustic guitar, though. That's the thing.
They are, yes. Yeah, so that's why you play electric.
Yeah.
But you can do your bar chords eventually. When you develop strong fingers, then your bar chords will be okay, and you can move those up and down very easily. So that's probably the most flexible thing, is to be able to bar with your finger and move up and down whenever you like. If you're playing David Bowie songs or something, then they do jump around a lot. Life on Mars has like so many chords in it. It's crazy. But for certain songs, it might be better, say Landslide or Ride On, then it might be better to put the capo on if you're doing like a finger cell. I wouldn't want to like hold this chord when doing a bar and play Landslide too hard doing it like that. You'd prefer to put a capo on the 3rd fret and then just, it's easier. Make sense?
It makes the other fingers a bit more difficult. Well, I use my first finger a lot, so if you take it out of the action.
You use your first finger a lot. Oh, for
chords.
So the capo, then yes, exactly, yes. When you do a bar chord, you're taking up that first finger and you're kind of, you can't use it anymore except for the bar.
So yeah, it changes the action.
Yes, it does. It does. Bar chords are harder, definitely physically harder. But if you're playing songs that move around a lot, then some songs, I would say, are hard to play without bar chords, especially when you have to move into different keys like D flat. When songs move through different keys a lot, it's going to be hard to do it without bar chords. Some chords you can't really play without bars, like F sharps and Bs and things like that. So it depends what songs you want to play. Definitely does. Next song, Ride On. Has anyone done this song? Okay, we'll get away with playing this in the video because we'll only listen to 1 or 2 notes. There we go. The first 2 notes only. Christy Moore will probably still do a copyright violation against this video. Okay, in this video, in this song, dum dum, it's the 2nd note, which is the key note. How would you know that if I didn't tell you? Well, you wouldn't really know. But there is another way to find out the key of a song, and that is to just listen through the song and just go at trial and error through different notes until you find a note that really sounds more right more of the time than any other note. That is kind of the method that if you're not sure which note is the key note and you just don't know and you're just listening to the song, then you have to use that method. Trial and error, playing notes at random until you come across one that you're like, that one sounds more right more of the time than any other note. And I would do that, like, I wouldn't jump at random like this one, no, this one, no, this one, no, this one. Not like that. You would just start on a string, like the A string, no, no, no. Yeah, that one does actually. Like that, just one fret at a time, very trial and error. You really have to kind of narrow things down scientifically almost, like you're just trial and error experimenting. Is it this one? No, doesn't sound great. Is it this one? The next one? The next one? We might try that for the next song. But for this song, there we go. It's not the first note, but the second note. Dun, dun. So let's see if you can figure out what that note is, the second note. Sinead, I know you're going to get it. Someone else try and get it. Who can get the second note there? I'll play it again. Dum, dum. Brian or Lorcan?
C? Is it C?
It is
No?
C. It is. C
Yeah.
again. Dun, dun. So
The C, Daniel. I thought it was a B.
definitely a C.
But isn't it the open string on the fifth?
Yes. If you play the open fifth string, it doesn't match with that note. Totally out of key. So we have to figure out what fret will we put the capo on to make it sound right. And the answer is the third fret, so that it's a C.
Okay.
Okay, we put our capo on the third fret, and if you don't know right on, it's very simple. It's only 3 chords: A minor, F, and G. It's the only 3 chords in right on. A minor, do 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 do, F, do 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 do, G, do 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 do, A minor, do do. There's the whole song is just that, those 3 chords: A minor, F, G, A minor, F, G. Capo on the third fret because it's actually in the key of C minor in this case because it's a minor chord. The first chord is C minor. It's in the key of C minor. The original Christy Moore version is in key of C minor. Any questions about Ride On? Anybody? We'll try and play a couple of lines of it. A minor, F, G. If you know those 3 chords. 1, 2, 3. A minor. Do 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 do. F. Do 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 do. G. Do 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 do. A minor. Of course, I'm calling out the shapes that you're playing to make it easier. If I was saying the actual how they're sounding, it would really confuse you because you'd be like, oh, that's not that chord shape. It would be really confusing. It'd be confusing for me as well. Saying C minor, A flat, B flat, C minor. So you don't really have to ever do that, but it's good to understand that is what's happening. The actual chord sounding out is C minor. And then you might want to try different keys. You might not have the exact same voice as Christy Moore, so you might want to sing it, try it higher up or lower down. Maybe A minor suits you, but no capo. And then you don't need a capo, and you can just play it in the normal, no capo. Okay, last example is John Denver, Country Roads. So let me I'll pause the recording. Well, okay, so we tried to figure it out. So just a question came in there, is it possible I'm tone deaf? That is extremely unlikely. There's a medical condition that I don't know the actual medical name of it, but when people say I'm tone deaf, they don't mean I'm tone deaf. They mean I haven't trained my ear. And the chances of being tone deaf are absolutely minuscule. It's almost certain that you're not. There's so many people, myself included, and millions of other people who started off without any trained ear and were unable to do this. And then it's just like a muscle that you train and it gets better and better, and then you can do it. So it's absolutely almost certain that it's that you haven't trained your ear enough yet to be able to do it. So it's quite like tricky at first doing this stuff because you can't hear if you're right or wrong. So you're kind of not sure, you're guessing and you're getting somewhere in the vicinity, but it's not very good. And that first getting over that it's tricky to get over it actually, but just continuously trying to hear a note and sing it is probably the best exercise for it. It's just la. You won't be able to do that initially if you haven't trained your ear. You'd be going too high or too low. La la la, and then after enough time, you'll be able to narrow it down and then actually sing and hear the note that you're trying to hear. There's also good apps that you can get that will like test you and say a good kind of early way to start off is that you just hear two notes. One would be like, and one would be like, and it would just say which one's higher, which one's lower. And that is usually very obvious. Let's see, I'll do it. I won't show you what notes I'm playing. So here's the first note. Here's the second note. First note, oops, second note. First note, second note. So which one was higher, the first note or the second note? Put your hand up if you think the first note was higher. Brian, could you hear which was higher? Oh, you're muted there, Brian.
Just one more time, Daniel.
Okay, this is the first note, and then the second note.
The second note was lower.
You're not tone deaf.
Great.
If you had that medical condition, they would both sound the same. You would not be able to tell any difference between the notes. If you can tell there's a difference between the notes and one is higher and one is lower, then you can start there and improve it until you can tell the difference between very close notes. And then it's like a progress that you're developing this training of your ear. You're honing it until you can do things that you can't do now, like go dum 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 dum. Hear different things and work them out. It all starts there. Note higher, note lower. So there are some good apps like Ear Master is one, and if you look up ear training apps, there'll be loads. There'll probably be lots of free ones that you can will do things like test you. Is this note higher or is this note higher? And that will name of an app. I'll have a look here. There's like several different ear training apps. There's one called Ear Training. Tonedeer.com comes up. Or just like soundgym.co. That sounds like a good one.
Okay.
Anyone use any ear training apps, Sinead, or anyone else?
I don't know what my one's called, but yeah, it is, and it just plays the noises. But I have found what really helps is learning the intervals, is knowing songs like Jaws, like goes da 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 da. That's a minor second.
Yes.
When you hear that, you go, oh, that sounds like Jaws, and then you know what it is, you know?
Yeah, the problem, or not the problem, but you have to first of all be able to
hear which one's higher and lower.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to
Absolutely.
start from a point. After a while, then you start learning the interval names and recognizing songs like that.
Nursery rhymes are the best way to go, really. The
I
kind of
think so.
nursery skills.
Yeah. The
Mhm.
song, Sinead mentioned in the chat, the song Do a Deer.
Sound of Music, yeah, the major scale. Yeah.
Field organ. Yes, exactly. Do a deer, a da 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 da. Any simple little tunes like that, little nursery rhyme tunes, they're the best for training your ear initially. Just trying to sing them. If you didn't sing much, it will be hard because you haven't sung much. That's why I couldn't do it when I was 18, because I didn't sing hardly at all from when I was really young. Like from the age of 5 to 18, I never sang. So when I was 18, I was like, la, la, la. Couldn't do it. But if you keep on trying, it does get better. Any questions there before we finish up? Was that useful? Hope you got something out of that. Good, good. It's definitely something that I think people are at very different levels with the ear training, naturally different levels from you'd never had to study it or learn it in a formal way, but you just have a good ear because you were singing or listening to music, you were around music, so your ear is good. It's not like the theoretical part of it, you don't just pick that up. You have to actually study it and learn it. What key is this? What key is that? You have to know. It's more analytical like that. You have to know. C, if I go up a fret, then it's C sharp. You have to learn those things. D, D sharp, E, F. And I think it is very useful to put those things together and be able to use your ear, but also know what the names of things are, especially if you want to play with other people or if you want to create your own songs or write your own songs, things like that. But any other questions before we finish off? Now you can go away and figure out or play along with something. Did we say what? Yeah, the John Denver. Did everyone get that? It's in the key of A. So capo on the 2nd fret, and you can play a G chord. We'll probably be playing a bit of that tomorrow if you're coming in for class tomorrow. So practice away with that one. All right. Nice one, guys. See ya. Or I'll